everybody, welcome to FoundFlix. A couple weeks back, I did a video on the recently released Jeepers Creepers 3 and asked if you guys wanted to see a full breakdown of the creeper creature that stars in the series. A ton of people wanted to learn more about the creature, and so here we are. In this video, we will be looking in depth at every single aspect to the creeper, breaking down the creature's history, its weapons, and of course its souped up vehicle, the creeper van. First of all, when it comes to the origins of the creature, or what the name of a species is, that specific information is still unknown, and most likely the series will never reveal what exactly the creeper is. However, we do know what it wants and how it works. There is still a ton of information in the movies that informs us all about the creature and all of its specific characteristics. So let's begin with a general breakdown of the creeper himself. There's one main aspect to the creeper that drives pretty much everything about his existence. Every 23rd year, he returns to feed in the spring for 23 days, and at the end of those 23 days goes into a sort of hibernation until years later when the cycle begins again. This is his entire MO, to feed on as many humans as possible during this period to keep his ancient body going. We don't ever get his exact age, but in one psychic vision is said to be several thousand years old, and considered to be an ancient devil or demon. He feeds exclusively on humans, but only eats certain body parts from certain people. For example, lungs so it can breathe, or eyes so it can see. The way it selects the parts it desires is with its keen sense of smell, seen via flaring slits on his nose, and sniffs out which ones he wants. He also uses this sense to smell out his victim's fear. Those that he smells are more afraid of him are the ones that he wants even more. So the weak and afraid usually wind up getting picked first. And each body part that it consumes literally becomes a part of it. This is true in two ways. First, in the physical sense. If the creeper loses a foot, he eats a foot, which then reforms into his own foot. We see him collecting these body parts for this purpose in the movies, such as the creeper with Derry's eyes, and interestingly, Justin Long actually plays the creeper here. But one time we see this actual physical process occurring. After the creeper's head is stabbed through with a pole, he pulls it loose, losing a large chunk of his head in the process. So he gets a new head from a victim and eats it, seeing the head poking through in his stomach. Then he removes his damaged head and the new one rises to his neck hole, forming into the shape of the kid's head, then reverting back to the creeper's appearance. We then assume that the entirety of the creature's body and organs are a kind of patchwork of all the various people's parts he's needed over time. But his victims also become a part of him in a kind of spiritual sense, as we see a few of his various victims manifest as ghosts to others to warn them about the creeper, such as Derry returning in the field to Minxie in her dream in Jeepers 2, and the son in 3 that was killed during the creeper's previous cycle, both indicating that by being killed by him and consumed as well, their spirits are also now a part of the creeper, and they are all connected and able to know what he is thinking and what the creeper is looking for. Another aspect that drives the creeper that ties again to his body parts is not wanting anyone to learn his mysterious history and origin, which could be the key to destroying it. Galen's son found a severed hand belonging to the creeper, burying it at his family's farm, and years later his mother unearths it, still functioning, and discovers that by someone making physical contact with it, she learns the entire history of the creature, being lifted into the air and eyes glazing over, causing her body to convulse violently. However, we never learn what she does, and it seems its history will remain forever unknown, and the creeper is able to get his hand back, destroying it and preventing anyone else from learning about it. Initially, the creeper is believed to be human by siblings Trish and Derry, as from a distance he does have the overall same physical size and stature of a human. In order to disguise himself and blend in with people, he wears a long trench coat and hat, which mostly hides his monstrous visage, making him look like kind of a creepy scarecrow. But what's underneath the coat is most certainly not human. Standing 6'3", the creeper's lean gray body is mostly reptilian in appearance, with bumps cut covering much of its skin. It also has large, veiny, bat-like wings that allow it to fly very quickly, helping it get from place to place with ease. And they can also be used to wrap up a victim, the skin folding all around them in an inescapable cocoon. Its face is somewhat human in appearance, but with rows of sharp fangs and ridges on the sides of its head. These are actually folds that open up, revealing several talons that emerge out into a fan shape with membrane connecting between them. It appears that he only opens up his real face when in a particularly dangerous situation, as seen at the end of 1 when surrounded by cops, or in 2 when about to reach the end of his feeding cycle. As a vicious killer, the Creeper actually seems to get sadistic glee in stalking his victims, toying with them and terrifying them before they meet their end. At one point, he even cheerfully whistles what is presumably his favorite song, Jeepers Creepers, after he murders some police officers. Though his behavior is markedly different in Jeepers 2 at the end of his feeding cycle. He is much more aggressive here and doesn't bother as much with stalking people, more interested in collecting as many victims as possible with his limited time left. He brings the bodies of his victims to a location that serves as its headquarters, referred to as its House of Pain. His first one of these seen is an abandoned church outside of town, where he uses a drain pipe to dump his wrapped up bodies into an area in the church's basement. This acts as his workshop of sorts, and we see he uses a workbench into which he has carved an ornate self-portrait. Here he stitches together his victims, recreating full people out of various body parts, and in an almost artistic display, hangs the bodies from the ceiling all around the area, creating a grotesque tableau and showing the sheer number of people he has claimed over the years. And when he burns the church down later, in the aftermath, bodies are discovered that date at least 200 years old, showing us he has been in this specific area for a long time, most likely returning to the church each cycle, claiming approximately 500 to 600 victims. He's been a busy boy. The Creeper is incredibly strong physically, able to rip open car roofs and uses wings to flip over a truck. And he doesn't appear to have any real physical weaknesses, as his entire body is made of dead tissue and is able to sustain a ton of damage without actually harming the creature. And he can simply replace any damaged parts. However, it does seem that his own knife does harm him, as seen with Taggart using his launcher with the knife attached. And this allows him to take down the Creeper more so than anyone else seen, despite him still not being completely killed. The Creeper has an assortment of weapons that he utilizes in his hunting. First and foremost is his hefty battle axe, which appears to be his most preferred weapon. Incredibly sharp, it can cut through steel chains or people's heads with ease. And whatever material it is made of is strong enough to deflect bullets. The other weapons we see appear to be created by the Creeper himself, using his victims' body parts to make these new weapons. There's his throwing star, which he throws with precision to attack his victims from afar, and is used to deflate the school bus's tire, leaving the team stranded. The middle section is created using people's skin, seeing tattoos left over from this. And the spikes appear to be made of sharpened bones. Another long-distance weapon is his spear, with his trademark carvings in the handle. After making sure to aim his shot carefully, the Creeper can throw the spear over an extreme distance. As far as how the weapons are able to achieve such great speed and power, we see when Taggart gets a hold of the Creeper's knife that it literally flies out of his hand across the room, stabbing into a lamp. So we see this is not just an ordinary knife. The knife has a normal blade, but the handle is carved with the Creeper's ornate designs. For lack of a better term, these weapons are enchanted by these carvings, and that is what gives them their over-the-top power. But perhaps the most over-the-top weapon of the Creeper's is its vehicle, the Creeper Van. This 1940s era truck driven by the Creeper is initially presented as nothing more than a surprisingly souped-up vehicle that terrorizes Trish and Derry. But Jeepers 3 essentially turns it into a mobile death machine that can even drive on its own. The truck is used to get around incognito, the Creeper putting his bodies in the back until he brings them back to his lair. While it appears to look like a regular truck, the Creeper has done some serious mods on the thing. The outside material is impenetrable to whatever is thrown at it, whether that's a rock or gunfire. The surface ricochets it no matter what it is, itself receiving no damage. Even the tires are somehow made of the same material, as bullets also don't penetrate them. The The interior of the truck is booby-trapped for anyone foolish enough to try to get inside, with automated bars that shoot out when someone tries to get in or out the back door. There's also a trigger-activated trap near the front of the truck that launches a spear out of a hole in the seat. As far as weapons, the truck has a hook attached to a rope line that shoots out of a pipe in the back. The hook is of course covered in creeper carvings, launching with great velocity, causing major damage to a police car, and is later used to hook a kid and reel him back towards the truck, unable to escape with the hook in his leg. But the piece de resistance are homing spiky balls that he launches out of his truck that create a huge explosion. These things are completely insane, and I honestly have no idea how the creeper could have made something like this, but it does look pretty cool. This brings us to the conclusion of our in-depth look at the creeper from the Jeepers Creepers trilogy. While we most likely will never know what kind of specific creature it is or its origin, there is more than a substantial amount we know about the character as presented over the 3 films. And I'm pretty sure I crammed every detail I could find in there. Hopefully this detailed breakdown of what we do know provided enough understanding as to what the creeper is. Let me know if there are any other creatures or villains in horror you'd like to see me do breakdowns on. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks for watching FoundFlix. See you next time.